Welcome to another episode of the Idaho House Republicans podcast, where you get to learn a little bit more about the legislators that you have sent to the State House. And today we have the privilege of having Representative Ben Fuhriman with us, and he is Legislative District 30, Seat B, in his first term. Welcome to the Idaho House Republicans podcast, Representative Ben Fuhriman.
Thank you, Victor. Appreciate you having me here today.
Hey, let me tell you a little about Ben. He was born and raised in Ammon, and he went to Hillcrest High School. He has a Bachelor of Science from BYU, Idaho, Master's in Family Financial Planning from Montana State University, yes. And he is a certified financial planner. He's the owner of RIA Financial Planning Services firm in Idaho Falls. He's just around with the Boy Scouts, right? You get involved with them. You're on the board there of the Grand Teton Council Boy Scouts. But most importantly, Representative, you have been married to the wonderful Holly for 19 years, and you have 4 amazing children.
Yeah, we're pretty blessed.
And that's what matters, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway, welcome to the Idaho House Republicans podcast.
Thank you. It'll be 19 years in April.
Well, there you go.
Just next month, yeah.
I guess I was anticipating that you're going to make it.
That's good. I sometimes remember how long it's been. So
there you go.
At least you reminded me it's 19 years, so that's good.
Okay, so first question is, tell us about Legislative District 30. Where is it?
Sure.
And what do they care about? Why did they send you to the legislature?
Right. So District 30 is Bingham and Butte counties.
Okay.
So we're kind of sandwiched between Idaho Falls and Pocatello. Very rural, lots of small towns, small communities. We care a lot about our independence. We're very...
faith, family, freedom.
Absolutely. Yep. Water is huge. We're one of the agricultural centers of the state. If you eat a French fry at McDonald's, it most likely came from my county.
Yeah.
My district. We are, family oriented. We're patriotic individuals who really love our state and love our country.
Fantastic. Now I want to ask you, you're a freshman.
Yep.
So what came over you to run for the legislature? Why did you do that?
It's a good question. I ask myself that almost every day.
Oh, I'm sure you have a good answer.
No, it's a desire to be involved, a desire to be, in the decision-making process. Sometimes you want to know how the sausage is made, and you want to be the one that makes sure it's made right. So I wasn't very pleased with the direction that our previous representative was taking us. And I felt like it was time for a change. Decided to throw my hat in the ring. If you want something done, you got to step up and do it.
Do it yourself. Don't look to somebody else to do something you can do yourself, right?
Sometimes that's the case.
So let's talk, Representative Fuhriman, about what committees do you serve on in the House?
Yeah, Health and Welfare. That's our morning committee. And then in the afternoon, I serve on Commerce and Human Resources and Energy, Environment, and Technology. So
remind people for Inside Baseball, what is the difference between a morning committee and an afternoon committee, just so people understand?
Sure. So in the House of Representatives, our morning committees are privileged committees, typically take on heavier bills, a larger workload. They meet every day. Mm-hmm. Our afternoon committees are usually every other day, or we go by odd and even days. Some afternoon committees are very full, very heavy. Some are lighter. It just depends on the subject matter. So that's typically the difference, really, that I believe is the difference in the afternoon versus morning committees.
The other thing I think that's important is that at a certain point of the legislature, any new bills have to come through the morning committees.
Which in the House is the morning committees.
Right. Yep. And so you can't bring them through the afternoon committees at a certain break. And that's roughly the first week of March, I think, is kind of the cutoff.
And they can be routed to those afternoon committees. So they'll still meet, but the introduction of those bills will
happen in the privileged committees. Okay. So let's talk about legislation.
Sure.
You have your name on House Bill 829, which is called the Idaho's Prompt Payment of Claims Act.
Yes.
So what was the issue that you saw? And you're doing this bill with Representative Wheeler.
Yep.
What was the issue you saw, and how does this bill solve that?
Yeah. So our rural hospitals are, I don't want to say they struggle, but they're not in a
They have challenges.
They have challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those challenges can be financial. And when insurance companies are not paying claims in a prompt manner, it really puts a big strain on some of these hospitals.
Cash crunch, yeah.
So we have a few hospitals in eastern Idaho, and they are, I feel like they're being treated like banks by some national insurance companies, right? Insurance companies are able to, under the current statute, delay, find excuses not to pay a claim, drag it out for months, and sometimes even beyond a year. And so that was the problem we wanted to solve. We took a look at the existing chapter in our code, and there were some loopholes that were being taken advantage of.
Oh.
So we are closing those loopholes with that legislation. We are making an effort to define the roles so that the providers know what they need to do in order to make it possible for insurance companies to adjudicate a claim, and that the insurance companies know what their expectation is in order to do that in a prompt and fair manner.
Can you give us any insights on what kind of loophole that you found that kind of created this situation?
Yeah. So in the current code, if a provider submits a claim within 30 days, then the insurance company has 30 days to pay or deny that claim. But they can come back and say, we need more information, and then the clock starts over.
Oh.
And so that's what it appears they were doing in many cases, is waiting till the 29th day, sending a message to the provider and saying, oh, we need this form, you forgot. The provider then scrambles to get the form together. Then once they get it, they've got 30 more days.
Wow.
Then they come back and say, oh, sorry, that form is no longer used. You need this form. And whatever tactics they could find, to the point where some hospitals are actually taking the insurance companies to court to try to get these claims paid. And any margin they had in those claims is being eaten up by legal fees and court fees. It just is.
So how would the process change? The same process you just talked about,
Right.
How would it change under your bill?
Right. So we're going to continue to give them the 30 days, because most of the insurance companies, especially those here in Idaho, domiciled in Idaho, are doing a pretty good job. And so we weren't changing anything. If a provider submits the claim, insurance company has 30 days to pay it or deny it or request new information. What we were going to do is give the insurance companies 2 bites at the apple. So they could come back and say, hey, we need more information because of whatever reason, and here's the specific things that we need. The provider then gets that information to them. They have one more chance if they need it. So essentially, an insurance company could hold a claim for up to 72 days because we're putting a timeline of 21 days instead of 30. So
Okay.
once they have the first 30 days, if they request more information, that's 21 days. If they request more information, it's 21 days. So we're
Gotcha.
giving the insurance companies under 90 days to pay a claim. But after that, we were expanding some of the powers of the Department of Insurance to mitigate these situations by allowing them to fine the insurance companies if they're not acting in good faith.
Good bill.
And hopefully keeping these arguments out of the courts and mitigated and handled internally.
Remind us where is House Bill 829 now?
It's in the business committee right now. That committee is very full, so we're hoping that we get a hearing and can move that forward this session. But right now, it doesn't have a date scheduled. We're still working on making that happen.
Well, Godspeed on that.
Thank you.
Another one that has a name,
Yeah.
your name and Representative Furness and Senator Cook and Senator Burtonshaw.
Correct.
It's like you got a pack out there.
That's right.
It's
water.
like a wolf pack.
We're getting the
So
troops
it's a
together.
water pack. Yeah,
That's right.
it's that we call it. So it's the House Joint Memorial 14.
Yes.
Talk about what that memorial does.
Yeah, so this is picking up from where we left off last year. So we passed Senate Joint Memorial, I think it's 101, that essentially said, hey, federal government, we need your help because you control the bureaucracy, and we need more water storage in Idaho. That was very successful. We were able to take over 5,000 signatures back to Washington, D.C., present it to our delegation, have very meaningful conversations with them and their staff about next steps and what could be done at the national level. House Joint Memorial 14 picks that up, that picks up the baton and says, okay, now these are the next steps that we need. And we've identified some specific locations that we can increase water capacity throughout the state. And so we're going to do it again. We're going to draw attention to it and probably make another trip back east and continue to beat this drum and let the federal government know that they need to help us with the permitting process, help us with some creative funding, because in a year like this year, we need water. And we have had very good years in the past, but we've had nowhere to store the water when runoff happens, and sometimes it happens too soon.
Right.
And we send too much water down the river that should be utilized or saved or stored for future use.
So the concern that you're trying to deal with here is that is the reality of shortage of water, the aquifer
Yep.
being depleted, reduced snowpack, which
Yep.
you can see the hills already here in Boise, earlier runoff.
Yep.
And you would like to your long-term goal is to add 750,000 acre feet
Correct.
of water and storage by the year of 2100.
Correct.
Okay. So talk about what does that mean? Like, what would that storage look like? Is it more dams? Is it more, what is the storage, or all sorts of things?
All of the above.
Okay.
So we have the best reservoir you could ask for under our feet. The aquifers of Idaho are fantastic places to put water. The challenge with that, though, is that number one, you have to have the water to put it in the aquifer.
Right.
Number two is once it's in the aquifer, you lose all control. So if you have water in a reservoir, you can open the gates, you can close the gates,
Right.
you can control when
You can actually see
water.
it too.
You can see it.
Yeah.
You know where it's going.
Yeah.
When it's in the aquifer,
It's underground.
it's somewhere.
Yep.
So, and we're getting much better at tracking that water and monitoring and measuring that water. I was in a water meeting today, and they're doing phenomenal work to be able to predict and project what we're going to have and how it's interacting within the aquifer. But there really, we still need the above ground storage as well. So this particular memorial identifies 3 locations: Minidoka, American Falls, and Jackson Lake, where we could do some modernization and increases to the storage capacity there pretty easily. We just need to have some red tape cut, and that's where we need the federal government's help in most regards. And so that's why, as a joint memorial, we send that out of the state. It's a memorial, so it's going to Congress, it's going to the Bureau of Reclamation, it's going to our delegation, essentially trying to raise awareness and point out what we need. And in some cases, you can think these are just statements, but because of the memorial we did last year and brought it forward, as soon as we were done meeting with our delegation, we came home, and within a very short period of time, we had a study that had been held up that was approved. And so that study is now moving forward to one of the first steps in what we're trying to accomplish. So these can be meaningful when followed up and when the pressure is put on with the importance of it.
This is not just ceremonial. This is, you're hoping to have a big impact here.
Correct.
Let's talk about House Joint Memorial 16.
Yes.
And that deals with insurance and Medicare, Medicaid services.
Yes. So this is our senior citizens. So last year...
And this is you, by the way. You're bringing it again with Representative Furness.
Correct. And we've worked very closely with Dean Cameron, the director of the Department of Insurance, on this. Last year, the Medicare Advantage market had some disruptions in Idaho. Without going into a ton of detail, there were some bad actors who were making it very difficult to enroll in and participate in Medicare Advantage plans. And Medicare Advantage plans are kind of controlled by CMS. The state of Idaho doesn't have as much regulatory authority over them as they do other insurance products. And so Idaho's hands were kind of tied, but we had senior citizens and insurance agents who were being taken advantage of. And so this is a joint memorial that goes to CMS as well as our delegation again, that does 2 things. As a legislature, we're showing our support to the Department of Insurance. They issued a bulletin to tell these companies to knock it off. And then when they didn't, they issued a cease and desist order, and that sent it into the courts. And so there's about 26 states right now who are waiting on us because they're having the same problem. So this is a memorial telling the powers that be that the state of Idaho legislature supports Director Cameron in his efforts to protect our senior citizens and the Medicare Advantage market, and also to ask CMS to clarify certain roles. And one thing that we learned is that CMS acknowledged there was a problem here, but they didn't have the manpower to do anything about it. And so part of this is saying, okay, CMS, work with us, right? We'll help you develop rules. We'll help you develop processes. We'll help you make this so that it never happens again. And so a lot of these joint memorials often are necessary to kind of give confidence and power to people to move forward to the next steps. And so we're trying to protect our senior citizens with this and make sure that a thing that happened last open enrollment doesn't happen again.
And where's this joint memorial right now?
Yes, it passed through committee on the Senate side. It passed the House, passed through committee on Senate. I believe it's on their reading calendars and should be heard soon.
And I should have, I'm remiss in not asking what's happening with House Joint Memorial 14.
That's in the same situation. It passed the committees. I believe it's on their floor.
And it passed the House?
It passed the House, correct. It's hard to, the Senate has their own way of doing things, and sometimes I don't know exactly when it's going to be brought up, but it is in the process, making good progress.
And typically, the Senate's going to prioritize its work first,
correct,
and then get to the House bills, and the House prioritizes the House work and gets the Senate bill.
Correct.
So that's kind of.
But we have Senator Cook and Senator
Burdenshaw
working
on it,
and then Senator Woodward is working on the Medicare Advantage plan. These are great legislators, and I'm fully confident that these will make it.
And I believe is CMS's Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about House Bill 753, which again has your name on it.
Yes.
And has a name, the ACT bill.
Yes.
So what does ACT stand for, and what does this bill do?
This is a very important piece of legislation that everybody in our state should be paying very close attention to. We have had a program in our state for over 40 years called Assertive Community Treatment.
Okay.
This is a program that helps people who have severe mental illness, schizophrenia, severe bipolar disease or illness, and they are trying to live normal lives, but in the past, they were put in institutions. They weren't treated like they should be. And we moved them out of those situations, and we put social workers into communication with them and working with them to help them make sure they're staying on their medications, make sure they have a friend. Not everybody has a family support system.
Right.
And make sure that they're able to live a normal and good life. Mm-hmm. We have is very tough because it was a program that was not in statute. So it was run by rules. And when we had the budget cuts, the Department of Health and Welfare, in their defense, didn't have a lot of options of things that they could legally cut to meet the governor's requirements of their 3% holdbacks. And so this program, along with some other, what I consider to be important mental health services, were cut. Since that moment, what they did is they unbundled the services. So if you will, imagine that there's a school shooting. You don't get the phone call at 911 and say, oh, hey, Victor, you doing anything? Oh, could you go take care of that for me? No, it's like all hands on deck.
Right.
SWAT team's going in. You're taking care of business. When these people are struggling, they go missing. They're not at their apartment. They don't show up to work. They maybe, stop taking their medications. You can't find them. You don't know where they are. And so these ACT teams have been highly trained, like a SWAT team, to go and find them. And when you do find them, if they haven't been on their medications for a while, they can be violent. They can be very difficult to restrain. They can be very difficult to talk to. And bad things can happen. And so one of the reasons we don't have a lot of issues in our state, like, San Francisco and some of these larger cities with homeless and drug addiction and such, is because of the ACT program. And so when we cut that, we unbundled the services. We made it so that these people could still get help, but they had to come to the office of the social workers and the counselors. Well, none of them are going to do that.
Right.
So the program is designed for you to go to them.
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, there's a school shooting. Could you tell the shooter to come to us so that we can take
him
of this?
down? Yeah.
Correct. And so the services were unbundled. It made it impossible for the employees who handled those services to be fairly compensated to do it.
Gotcha.
And so the program kind of fell apart. This happened in December 1st. We have lost 3 people who have died in the program. In the year and a half that we moved it out of Health and Welfare's hands, they had it for almost 40 years. We moved it into these teams, kind of a managed care type system. We lost 1 person in a year and a half.
Wow.
In 2.5 months, we lost 3. And then I just received word today that we lost our 4th person. So these are people who have stopped taking their medications. They don't eat. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't know what to do.
Right.
And they die. They die of medical issues. They die of starvation. They die of freezing. They die of things that are completely avoidable.
Preventable.
So this particular piece of legislation was moving that program into statute so that it could not be cut again. Also, I was under the impression we were working to get a piece of policy to our Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee so that they could fund it, that they needed the policy bill so they had something to fund. And so we've been working different angles to try to get these programs back into place. This particular bill is sitting in committee. hasn't had a hearing yet because we don't have a clear path to fund it. It would cost around just under $4 million a year from our general funds. It cost about another just under $100 million to take care of it from now to the end of this fiscal year. And it's important that we get it back because we're losing those trained workers. They're going and finding different jobs. And when we started this program a year and a half ago, we actually funded it with seed money to get these workers trained. And if we don't get the programs back and put in place, we're going to have to do that again. It's going to cost even more.
Now, what is the what is the status of this bill?
It's in hearing. We're waiting for. There's a lot of people who want this to.
Is it health and welfare?
It's health
committee?
and welfare. Yes.
Okay.
And I do want to say, like I say, there's a lot of people who want this back, and there's a lot of people making great efforts to try to find a way to do it.
And you're in that committee. You're a part of
yes.
that committee.
Yes.
Well, Godspeed on that.
Thanks.
Last thing I want to chat with you about before we sign off is how Senate Bill 1300. It has to do with appointments. Well, actually, you talk about it because there's a gap in appointment of some important officials. Talk
Right.
about that.
So this has to do with Harriman State Park is the reason that this is very important to me.
Okay.
Being on the east side of the state, Harriman State Park brings in anywhere from $15 to $35 million a year to our local economy.
Wow.
It has over 200,000 visitors consistently every year. It's a beautiful, gorgeous state park. It is the reason that the Parks and Recreation Department exists today in Idaho. So the Harriman family turned that park over to the state under specific conditions, one of which was that we create a Park and Recreation Department that could manage it, and that the director of that department never be a political appointee. It had to always be a person who is appointed based on merit and skill. Senate Bill 1300 is attempting to take a few departments that we have who work under a similar status. They have a board of commissioners, and that board is appointed by the governor, but it's appointed in a bipartisan fashion. And then those individuals hire and fire the directors of those departments. So Fish and Game, Department of Transportation, and
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. So it seems pretty harmless to say, look, we want the directors of these departments to be appointed directly by the governor so the Senate can confirm them. We want legislative oversight over that. And I understand the frustrations with some of those departments and maybe the desire to be able to make changes where right now it's the board of commissions that can make those changes. But the unintended consequence of that bill, should it pass, is that the heirs of the Harriman family would have legal claim to get Harriman State Park back. It would be gone. And from what I've looked at, the research I've done, the family has already put the state on notice. I do believe that would happen.
Wow.
And so if you imagine for a second, you've got a piece of land worth roughly $300 million that the state owns and is managing, and you have a chance to get it back because the state is being, in my opinion, a little bit careless. I don't feel like the risk is worth it.
No.
And so currently Senate Bill 1300 passed the Senate. I believe it's in House State Affairs. I don't know the status. I've taken this up personally because of the importance to my region, but I'm not on State Affairs. I'm just trying to raise awareness to that particular piece of legislation.
But it does help that Brent Crane, who's the chair of that committee, is co-sponsor on the House side. Yes,
and I don't know how accurate that is. We're hearing rumors that
it's just in the statement of purpose of the
correct,
bill. It
and that
shows
hasn't
him
been
and
changed.
Senator O'Connor.
And I can't speak for Representative Crane, but
Okay.
It's still in State Affairs. I'm hoping it stays there. And the frustrating thing for
But
many
you
of
hope
us
it comes out of there.
I hope it stays in that committee
Oh, it
and
stays
never
in the
sees the light of day. So
This bill.
that bill,
I see.
yeah,
Because-
I hope it does not get a hearing.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I misunderstood this. What is the process you don't want to see happen?
I do not want Senate Bill 1300 to get a hearing and come to the House floor. I
And
want it-
because it what? It's the Senate confirmation, governor appointment.
If it comes to the floor, if it passes the floor, if the governor signs it, I believe that Harriman State Park will become private land.
And that's because the process would be what? To put these three, Idaho Department of Fish and Game, Parks and Rec, Transportation.
Those directors would then become political appointees,
Gotcha.
directly appointed by the governor.
And the Harrimans did not want that.
Correct. And the park is in a trust, and that trust has very specific language. And in that trust, it says, should they ever become
Political appointees.
non-merit appointees, then the Harriman family heirs have legal right to reclaim that park.
Okay, now I understand. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for setting us straight.
Yeah,
But again, thank you for joining us on the Idaho House Republicans podcast. Representative Ben Fuhriman, and just a reminder, he serves in Legislative District 30, Seat B. He's in his first term. And before we sign off, as we always say, God bless the great state of Idaho. And again, thank you to Representative Ben Fuhriman for joining us on the Idaho House Republicans podcast.
Thanks, Victor.
Sunrise on the Snake River Plain, red, white, and blue in the window pane. Work boots dusty from yesterday, but we're back at it the Idaho way.